Okay, so on your business, what are you thinking about doing with it? Like, especially on the content or the ads?
So, what I'm going to be doing is I'm taking more of a centered focus. So, instead of helping anyone who has a service based business, I am really niching down now. So, I
Mhm.
really want to focus on people who are in the firm business. So, like law firms, insurance agencies, things like that. So, I really want to have like a really big focus on them and then focus in on the strategy and the ad portion. So, like, after the ads have been running, right? Maybe
Mhm.
they haven't had somebody assess their website. So, basically, what's going to happen is that's where I come in. And then I kind of take a look at their website, make sure that it's set up properly for conversions so that their ads will then work better for them.
I love that. One thing that I found works really good. So when I told you we were running our ads and then all of a sudden overnight they stopped working. And so
Yeah.
that freaked me out. But what I found is we'd been running messaging ads like with the back end ManyChat flow for what, a year and a half, 2 years.
Okay.
And we continued to update the ads, but the audience shifted. And so they no longer wanted to book through the ManyChat flow. And so when I pulled
Ah,
him down, I took everything down and revamped the entire flow on it. And so now it's going directly over to a landing page that has Hotjar installed on it in Google Analytics just to see where they're actually converting. That page has
good.
been revised like 2 separate times to get it where it's at right now. And there's a night and day difference between the bookings. Now, when the ads are running, we'll be fully booked up for a couple weeks. As before, it was like one here, one there. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is bad. This is really
Yeah.
but Meta came out with that algorithm change, what, 2 weeks ago, and it messed everything up.
It messed up a couple of accounts that I've personally been helping out with just like basic like social media posts and stuff like that. I had full access to their account to go in and plan out all of the monthly content.
Yeah.
But then I went to go in one day and I didn't have access to any of the accounts anymore. And I was like, what is going on? Did my account like get like taken down or is there something wrong with it? And then after kind of looking into it a little bit more, I guess they changed how they did their permissions as well. So I had to go in and get everybody to re-add me in again so that I could then go ahead and create the content for them and get it posted out.
No. So, I was thinking back to, what, 12, 15 years ago when I worked over at the news station, and that was, like, when we just first started doing digital marketing and how simple everything was. There was
Yeah,
none of the stuff going on at all, and I just feel like it's getting so much more complicated, and
it
especially, like, with
is.
AI coming out, it's changed everything, like, even SEO over to AEO. It's changed everything.
It really has. And now, too, with the internet and everybody being connected and being able to kind of put their stuff out there on social media and advertise their business, everything is so saturated. You really have to make yourself stand out and be different from everyone else in order to make that connection initially with the person, right? So, just even comparing I'm getting so into it. Yeah, it just literally is everything now. It used to be you just created it, put it up there, and you were done, but now,
Mhm.
like, you really have to go in and make sure you're speaking to that person, you're targeting that person correctly, and really niching down.
So you actually brought up a good point on that. With making sure it's communicated correctly, all the stuff with that new Google algorithm update, that AI, I've been looking into it. That is scary. They're literally judging the quality of the website, and if they don't deem it as good enough, it's replacing everything. And so,
Yeah.
like, when I was checking into, like, what they're judging, they're obviously judging design, like your sitemap, your structure, your technical SEO, products, making sure everything's indexed correctly. I feel like it's just going to wipe out so many small businesses unless they've stayed up with the website development.
It's so true, and it goes back to that as well, like, you used to be able to just create a site, make it look nice, and that
Mhm.
was enough, and that's not enough anymore. There's so much that needs to be done in the back end, as well as your messaging, the flow of your site, your calls to action. Everything really matters right now, and you have to make sure that everything is flowing good. I'm even revamping my own little funnel as well for social
Yeah.
media just because I'm finding it's not working like it used to. I really need to niche down now and get into, those clients' faces and stand out from everybody else, right?
Like, "Hey, I'm"
That's the thing. You gotta stand out.
I know. I like that you're going after lawyers. I think that is like any type of firms, I think that is such a good fit.
Yeah, I've always had really good success with them. They know what needs to be done. They just don't have the time to do it, right?
No,
Or want to sit down and learn, right? Like they have their own things going on. They're very busy, so
I love that.
I'm here to make it easier for them.
So we are in the middle of releasing something. We mainly work with like salons and spas. We have a ton of them. I love those ones.
Yeah.
So we put together a 90-day plan for new ones that are just opening. Like, when you first start your business, how much is you just don't know. You don't know until you make that mistake. It's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe how expensive that mistake was.
I've had a few of those myself.
I have two. I think my worst one was the first year we were in business, not understanding how taxes worked. Oh my gosh.
I
That
feel
made
like
me
that one scares a lot of people.
It does. Well, I didn't understand the structure, how it can be like an LLC or an S corp election or all this stuff, and how that makes a difference in how the taxes are filed. And it's, oh my God. I wish that's probably the one thing I wish somebody told me from the very beginning is how to set up taxes and how much you're supposed to put aside. It's like that 30% rule. And otherwise,
Yeah.
you could be totally upside down. Luckily, we weren't, but there's been so many that have gone out of business because of it. It's so sad. There's no reason for
It
it.
is, and it really is, because it's so preventable.
It
It's
is.
just the lack of information that's out there right now of instructing business owners how to run a business, what you need to do to get your ducks in a row to create your business. It's hard to find that information. If you do, finding someone that you can trust and reliable information too, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's something you don't wanna make a mistake on.
hmm we worked with a business coach that first year, like probably like the first 6 to 8 months to try to get everything set up correctly. She was amazing. She was so sweet. I remember there was a time though where I was having a hard time on pricing. And you and I have talked
That's a
about
tough
pricing so
one.
many times. And she's like, no, you can charge more and more and more. I'm like, no, I can't. I really can't. It's not going to happen. And it's so scary. I hated it. And so, but she was the one who sort of like pushed me out of my shell on charging and like how to set pricing. And her suggestion was even higher than where we are right now. So it was so not comfortable. But where we started, it just taking a look at the numbers, the margins weren't there to sustain the business. And so she said
Yeah.
something that made a lot of sense. When you're testing your pricing, if you're closing like 90% of your consults, you were priced way too low. And then if you're closing like 20%, you're priced too high, but you need to fall in right. I'm like, that makes sense.
That is a good rule, and it does make sense.
I know, but pricing is hard. It's not
It
fun.
really is. I gotta raise mine, and I'm scared again. But I've been in business for so long, you think you wouldn't be scared, but it's still like, that imposter syndrome, things like that. They always your own insecurities, they get at you sometimes,
Oh my gosh, yeah, it
and no
happens.
matter how many times people tell you, you still, you have to believe it yourself, right?
And that'll happen one day. One day.
Exactly, right?
So on that, what do you think has been the hardest thing, like, in you and building the business over time? Because we've worked together for what, 3, 4 years now? A
Ye
hot minute.
Yeah, it's been, I think, about 4 years now. Time has
That's so
flies.
cool. I love that. But, like, on your personal business, what do you think has been, like, the most difficult thing to figure out over the years?
I think for me, the hardest thing was to figure out a system, like a good system that works. It took a lot of time to get where I'm at, and I'm still refining it,
Yeah.
but it's something that once you have a good system, everything else kind of slowly starts to fall into place for you. You
I
need that foundation 100%.
I agree tenfold, and I know when we were creating our systems, my biggest mistake in doing that was going too fast and having too many cooks in the kitchen saying, "Oh, it should be this way. Oh, it should be that way." Like at the end of the day, it's your business and you need to figure out the system that works best for you and your business.
Oh, 100%, yeah,
It's so easy to like have people get in your ear and tell you all of these different things. Yeah,
for
you've
sure.
been here,
Because
you know.
everybody has their own system that worked for them, and that's the thing, it worked for them.
Mhm.
So you need to kind of take what resonates with you and mold it into something that works for you. It might not be 100% what they did, but you can always take little bits and pieces here and there from what would work for you and then fill in the blanks from there on the pieces that don't.
Oh
But at
my
least it
gosh.
gives you a jumping point and something to kind of consider and awareness of the issue as well, right?
Definitely. That's actually on that course we put together. That's one of the main sections is doing like the systems, the SOP, when to hire your first person and all of that. I wish I had somebody walk me through that when like we were getting to the point we were scaling. And like you, I think the part I'm most embarrassed about is the turnover because I didn't have the right systems in place and I didn't have the right training in place. And then just looking back, like all of that could have been preventable if we had just,
Yeah.
like me specifically, if I had slowed down and created the systems and the training like they should have been there.
I mean, you live and you learn, right?
Mhm.
Like, as long as you're taking something out of those mistakes, then it's really not a failure. You're just learning what didn't work, right?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And then now you can make those changes and, make sure that it does work for you.
I know. All right. What do you think has been the best part of having your own business and like has led to the most success for you?
I have to say the freedom. Like, you get in your head that I'm gonna have all this time and the freedom and blah, blah, blah. And yes, you do have freedom, but it's not the freedom you think that you're gonna have because you're still gonna have to put in that time to run the business, make sure that things are
Mhm.
going good, that you're on track, you're making your goals, what's your plans for the future and things like that. But when it really comes down to it the flexibility to be able to say, "You wanna know what? Okay, maybe I don't work at this time or I don't take a call at this time. I'm gonna be doing this piece instead, and then I can save that for maybe later." You know what I mean? So you have that
I'm
flexibility
yeah.
to move the things around.
So I like having that set up in Honeybook. And so we block out that time where there's no meetings, there's no nothing. That's
Exactly.
helped me so much because before this, I would be on the phone at 1 a.m. It's like, oh, a client called. I need to help him right this second. There's that's not right. And you
And
shouldn't
one
be
thing I've
doing that.
learned from you is the boundaries.
I love boundaries.
Yes. So having those boundaries in place is so important too.
It is, and, like, I've noticed that with you, just I'm so happy to see that, like, just saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, hey, I'm not there right now." It's like, "Yes, good, I'm glad you're not there."
Yeah.
That's huge.
It's given me the time to focus on myself as well, and I'm on my own, like, personal journey right now, kind of, regaining my own self. After having a daughter and going through life and everything, you kind of slowly lose yourself, and I feel like I'm at that point of my life now where I'm finding myself again, and I have that flexibility that I'm able to do things like go to therapy during work hours
Yes.
and not have to worry that my boss is going to get upset with me or whatever it may be. I have that peace of mind that I'm able to fully go into whatever I'm going to do without having to worry about something else.
That's huge. How is
Yeah.
and, like, if you don't wanna talk about it, totally fine, but how is the therapy stuff going? And, like, w and I was in therapy for years, and
Yeah.
so I'm all for it, but what have you found the most useful from it?
Oh, just the mentality that you have to put on the mask for yourself, like that, that airplane, when you're learning like, oh, the mask is gonna drop, put it on yourself first before you put it on everybody else. It's that whole thing, right? And being a business owner, you really need to kind of have that psychological like self
Separation.
figured out. Yeah, so that you're able to do those boundaries, you're able to realize who you are, what you can do, what you're capable of, or if you've given enough and you're like, you want to know what? Today, I can't give any more of myself. So I want to give that person 100% of myself. So you want to know what? Maybe I don't talk to them or work on that thing today. I do it, a couple hours from now or tomorrow. You know what I mean? So it just helps you so much as a person and a business owner to do the therapy, to work through those things because you don't think that they affect that, but it's you. It does affect it, right?
It does. I'm so happy you're doing this, and the one
Yeah.
thing that you said at the beginning made so much sense after you had your daughter just sort of losing yourself a little bit. I have mine too, and
Yeah.
Nathan, he's getting ready to go to college. He's applying for college this summer, so he'll be going next summer, and honestly,
Empty
it's
nest
scary.
soon.
And it scared the heck out of me because it's like, how your entire life is spent taking care of the kids, and
It is.
your motivation is making sure they're fed, they're clean. They're not always clean. They're happy. Definitely not teenagers are always happy. And then it hits you. It's like, my gosh, they're not going to be here anymore. And so, like, what do I do?
Yeah.
And you're just sort of looking around, and there was a couple weeks ago when both the kids, they were busy that week, and they were barely here the entire week. I'm like, "I'm not ready for this. I don't know who I am without them." It's such a
Yeah.
weird.
And it's a part of life. It's part of being a mom and a business owner too. What happened to my camera?
No,
What's going on?
I don't know. It looks like the internet's a little wonky. It's probably on my side because it's snowing.
But yeah, it's, being a part of being a mom and, having kids and having all of those responsibilities, sometimes we forget about ourselves and forget about what we like and what we enjoy. So it's kind of like you got to take yourself out on like little dates and learn about yourself again, because as you grow and change, you change as a person, right? So what you might have liked a few years ago before may not be the same thing that you like going forward. And that's
Yeah,
okay. You just got to figure out what it is that resonates with you going forward as in, you explore this new chapter of your life.
I love that. I'm so excited for you. And I'm just getting all nosy today. How has work impacted like your relationships with friends and family? Or because like I know for me, when I started my business, it was definitely split on support and not support. What have you seen with yours?
So the whole reason why I created my business was because of my partner. We had our daughter and I was on maternity leave and almost ready to go back to work and I was almost gonna do it. But then he had the conversation with me. You want to know what? You're home now anyways. My job is steady. Why don't you try to kind of go forward and explore this on, doing it on your own so that you have that flexibility and we're not just working to have our daughter in daycare basically, right? So it's that piece of like quality of life, right? So it just made sense for us. So I took that leap and I did it very slowly. I started out first with just logos. I did it on Etsy before I invested a ton of money into something. I just wanted to see if I had something that people would want.
Yeah.
And then slowly I kind of got myself out there. I was always a very reserved person. I was very shy, not very talkative. Like I know, you're looking at me
Really?
like, "Really?" Like, no, like,
No.
I was so scared and shy, but after having my business, it really changed me and how I approach talking to people. I've always been in sales, so it all just felt very natural for me, right? So it just, it slowly evolved as time went on, and it did get hard at time, that balancing between family and work, especially as my daughter got older and the nap got shorter or almost non-existent.
Yes.
But we worked through it, and, if I needed him to tag in to watch, or we had our friend who lived close by, if I needed him to watch her for a little bit, I was able to rely on them as support to help me out, for a couple hours here and there so that I could get some extra work done, or, try out something new for my business. And yeah, you really have to surround yourself with supportive people for sure.
I actually didn't know that's how your business started. I
Yeah.
love that's really cool.
Yeah. It sort of got to a point where I was selling websites on Etsy, and I was like, I probably really should have a website if I'm making websites for everybody else."
I know what you're talking about. When I look back at our first website, I'm so embarrassed by it, and it was one of those, like, we're just throwing it up there, and I look back and I'm like, "Oh, that was
Well, that's
bad."
the thing, you gotta start somewhere, right? Nothing is
Yeah.
ever gonna be perfect the first time around, and I feel like that's a lot of what business owners do, is they want it to be perfect, they want it to be exactly how they envision it, which is great, and I get having pride in what you're
Yeah.
putting out there and wanting to do it right, but sometimes it gets to the point where you can actually self-sabotage, and we've
Yes.
seen a few people who have done this. I know we have.
Yes, you have, and I know who you're talking about too. And so that is a really good point. Done is better than perfect. Plain
Exactly.
and
You just
simple.
it's that momentum. You have to have that momentum, and you gotta keep it going, and that's
Mhm.
what's gonna really help you. You can, make mistakes, like, don't be afraid to make mistakes. I've made oh my goodness, my cat's knocking me.
I love it.
That's
My
my
dog's
buddy.
still in bed.
He loves to join me when I'm on calls.
That's so cute. I love it. My guy usually does. He's been so lazy though. He's not getting out of bed until like noon or 1 p.m. I'm like, okay, live your best life.
Yeah. I wanna come
No,
back as a
you're
cat in the next life, I think.
seriously. You are very right on getting the momentum. Because the other thing is too, where especially if it's a new business and they're starting right now and right this second, they don't necessarily know what's going to resonate with the audience or with their clients. So they might think like this product A and service A is going to be it. So they've spent months perfecting it, but actually after they launch, it's project C that's working. And
Well,
so just
that's the whole
getting
thing, is you get so much data from just putting it out there that you can improve it that much more if
yeah,
you are actually
live.
doing what you're supposed to do and getting it out there, because you're not gonna get that data if you're waiting for perfect.
No, and I think, like, that definitely is the biggest takeaway is whatever you're doing, just launch it, just start it. Even if it's not as perfect as you want it to be, you can always make revisions, you can always change it, but you'll know how to change it instead of just guessing. I think that's my pet peeve is when people just guess so much that, like you said, they self-sabotage, and so set it live, get the information, get the data back, and make revisions based on facts, not
Yeah,
fiction. Definitely.
exactly. And that's my favorite part, is the data part, because then you get to really see where it is that needs the attention, because you could think it's one thing and that thing might
Mhm.
look like meh, but it's
Yeah.
performing well.
Oh
Don't
my
touch
gosh.
it.
I know. And honestly, like some of our best stuff has been threw it together, put it out there. I'm like, oh, that's going to tank. And it ends up being the top performing. You don't know unless you
Yep,
try.
exactly.
I think there was this one, and I hated how I looked in the video. I'm like, whatever, it's not going to do good. And you know how that goes. I'm like, can we just take it down now? Yeah, definitely one of those.
I'd had
So,
that moment even this morning when I was filming. I'm doing like a little video for my landing page, right? Like a little welcome
yeah.
video. And I was recording and I was like, my hair doesn't look good, or, we're our own worst critics, right? But
Yeah.
once you get it up there, they're not paying attention to, how you look, what obviously you need to look professional, but, like,
Yeah.
they're not nitpicking you the same way that you're nitpicking yourself.
My gosh, no, and we are horrible at that, like, horrible. I can't tell you how many times I curled my hair today, and honestly, it's probably gonna fry off, but it was one of those, it's like and so, no, just done is better than perfect.